In small-town America, there are places where everyone knows your name. Where the church bells still echo every Sunday morning, and where neighbors wave from their porches as children ride bikes down quiet streets. Brookhaven, Missouri, was one of those places, a town built on faith, family, and familiarity. But even in a town so devoted to trust and tradition, darkness can hide behind the most respected faces. This is the story of Daniel Harris, a husband, father, and man of faith whose devotion to his church would lead to betrayal beyond imagination. Daniel was born on June 14, 1967, in Kansas City. The only son of Leonard and Margaret Harris, he grew up with strong Midwestern values, hard work, loyalty, and faith. To most, he was a man of balance, tough, reliable, but gentle with those he loved. After finishing high school, Daniel joined the Marine Corps, serving 4 honorable years before returning home to Missouri. That's when he reconnected with Rachel Morgan, a family friend he'd known since childhood. Their friendship quickly turned romantic, and within a year, they were married in a simple but heartfelt church ceremony, a union they believed was blessed by God. Together they built a family, raising 2 children, Ethan and Sophie. Daniel poured everything into being a good husband and father. He worked hard, opening an insurance office that grew into one of the most successful in the area. Rachel handled the books and customers, while Daniel built a reputation for honesty and dependability. To anyone looking in, the Harris family had it all: the faith, love, stability. Their spiritual home was New Grace Baptist Church, where Daniel became deeply involved. He taught Sunday school, managed church finances, and even drove the Sunday bus to pick up children for service. Rachel sang in the choir and helped organize community dinners. They were a couple admired by many, the kind of family every congregation wanted. But within the same church, another couple seemed equally devoted, Pastor Andrew Lane and his wife, Kimberly. Pastor Lane had arrived in Brookhaven in 1999, bringing energy and charisma that quickly grew the congregation. People trusted him. They confided in him. His sermons were powerful, his presence comforting. Yet behind the charm, there were shadows. Before coming to Brookhaven, Andrew had left a church in Virginia under suspicious circumstances involving missing money. Few knew that story, or if they did, they chose to forgive and forget. At first, his marriage to Kimberly appeared steady. But over time, she began to sense something was wrong: subtle glances toward women in the congregation, quiet conversations that lasted too long. One woman, in particular, caught her attention: Rachel Harris. In 2004, Rachel became pregnant, but Daniel had undergone a vasectomy years earlier. It was a moment that should have brought joy, but instead raised painful questions. Daniel, ever trusting, convinced himself that mistakes happen, that maybe his procedure had failed. When Rachel later miscarried, the mystery faded, but suspicion lingered beneath the surface. By 2008, Daniel could no longer ignore what he felt. He confided in a close friend that he believed his wife and Pastor Lane were having an affair. The friend dismissed it, assuring him that such thoughts were impossible, that both were good, God-fearing people. Daniel tried to silence his doubts and remain loyal to his church and his wife. Ironically, when Rachel caught Daniel watching inappropriate material online, it was Pastor Lane who offered to counsel him, to help him heal spiritually. For 2 years, Daniel attended private sessions with the same man he secretly suspected of betraying him. During those sessions, he poured out his heart, his fears, insecurities, and pain, while the pastor used that trust to mask his own deceit. Then came March 31, 2010. Rachel arrived at the insurance office that afternoon. The blinds were closed, unusual for daytime. The door was locked, yet Daniel's car sat outside. She used her key to enter and called his name. Silence. When she reached his office, she froze. Daniel lay motionless on the floor. Blood pooled beneath him. He had been shot in the back of the head. The scene showed no sign of struggle. His wallet and money were untouched. This wasn't robbery, it was execution. The weapon, investigators later learned, belonged to Daniel himself. Someone had taken it from his home, used it to kill him, then vanished. Detectives interviewed everyone close to Daniel, and one name surfaced again and again, Pastor Andrew Lane. Witnesses spoke of his closeness with Rachel, the private meetings, the exchanged glances. Phone records confirmed it, hundreds of messages and calls between them in the days before the murder. When confronted, Rachel's story began to unravel. She admitted that she and the pastor had been lovers, not for months, but for nearly a decade. What began as friendship had turned into an affair that neither ended nor repented. And worse, Rachel confessed that Andrew had spoken of getting rid of their spouses entirely. Not divorce is death. The plan was for Andrew to kill both Daniel and his own wife, freeing them to be together without scandal. Rachel had even given him the keys to her home and the code to Daniel's gun safe. Evidence revealed a chilling message she had sent to him: "I want him gone." When police went to arrest Pastor Lane, he had already fled the state. He resurfaced weeks later in South Carolina, living under a false name and working as a truck driver. But he couldn't hide forever. Authorities tracked his financial activity and phone use, and soon, he was arrested without resistance. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Andrew Lane pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and armed criminal action. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Rachel cooperated with prosecutors and received an 8-year sentence for her role in the plot. During questioning, she revealed that Andrew had once planned to kill his wife, Kimberly, staging her death as a car accident. Thankfully, that plan was never carried out. Kimberly later spoke publicly about her husband's betrayal, saying she chose to forgive but never forget. Daniel's mother, Margaret, wept as she spoke of her son, a man who had lived by love and trust, who adored his wife until the end. His children, Ethan and Sophie, chose forgiveness too, saying they couldn't bear to lose both parents to bitterness. Today, Andrew Lane remains behind bars in Missouri. Rachel completed her sentence and now lives quietly, far from the public eye. The story of Daniel Harris serves as a haunting reminder that evil doesn't always wear a stranger's face. Sometimes it hides behind a smile, a sermon, or a vow made before God. Daniel's trust was his virtue and his downfall.